All right, so similar to our other videos, pretty consistent setup. We have our keycaps over here. So I ordered this just to take a step back really quickly. So as part of the BM40 kit from KP Republic, I ended up getting switches as a part of there, but as part of the kit, I ended up getting the case, the PCB, the switches, or excuse me, the switches as well. So I ended up getting Gatoron blue clicky switches, which I probably won't end up using this as my like main board. These are very, I don't know if the microphone's picking this up too well, but these are very, very clicky, which I'm not necessarily a huge fan of. So I'm glad this is hot swap because I probably, to make this more usable for what I like, will probably put different switches on here, ones that are a little bit more quiet. I like, and if you've seen my previous videos, I like switches that are moderately clacky, but nothing that's very clicky. So yeah, these probably will not stay on this. Will probably not stay on this, but they came as part of the kit. So why not? Ended up getting a case here as well, so pretty excited about that. And yeah, we have our I always forget the name of these things while I'm staring at them, but these are our stabilizers, specifically for our shift key. And yeah, so let's we'll get right into it. We'll start before I even open up the PCB. So one thing I like to do is I like to take a look before I get started to know what direction I should put the switches into the plate here. One thing to note, if you order the BM40 kit, order the plate. Fortunately I had a friend notice that when I ordered my kit I would not get the plate. You don't necessarily need this, but it makes putting the keyboard together a lot easier, and it makes the keyboard a lot more stable in terms of putting your switches and keycaps on. So I'm a huge fan of them. You could put this together without it. I would not suggest it. So just to note that if you order the kit, the plate does not come with it. Make sure you order if that's important to you. So just taking a quick look at this is still in the static bag. So let me go ahead and get this opened up, and I do not have scissors over here, so well, I don't need them. Look at me. To make sure that the switches that go into the plate are facing the right direction, so the pins that actually to make contact are going to be pointing down. So that's just something important to note. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the switches put into the plate, and then we will get the plate. We will install that onto the PCB. One thing I'm going to do, just a little bit different from tradition, I'm going to actually flash this before I put the keycaps or put the case on. The reason why is, and I'm going to try and capture this here, and it is very, very, oh man, this is going to be a really hard one to capture. The reset switch, which is right here, is super tiny, but the problem is inside the case it will be inaccessible. So I am gonna flash this first before putting the case on. That way I will know. That way I'll know the software's already on the keyboard, and I won't have to take it apart to do that. So let's start off with getting our switches on. Yeah, we'll just start off there, and this should be a pretty straightforward build. And again, another hot swap keyboard. Really great thing about these is there is no soldering, so I don't have to put anything together other than taking the time. I don't have to put anything together except for taking the time to actually put the switches into the plate into onto the PCB, and then screwing all that together with the screws that end up coming with the. I'm just gonna pull this pin back a little bit. It's bent over, so it'll go in very nicely when I mash those two together. Yeah, and then put the plate into the case, and then screw that all together, and we will have a very nice working keyboard. Yeah, yeah, so this will be pretty straightforward, kind of like our, very similar to our UT47 version 2 keyboard, which by the way, I have been using since I posted the video. I am really happy with it. I actually will probably keep using that. I thought I was going to want to go back to the Contra. I'm actually really enjoying that keyboard. It is, I love the RGB colors. It's actually like really well built. I love the stability. I love the how the keycaps feel on that, and I love the switches on that one as well. So yeah, I'm pretty happy. Those were the Duroc linear, the teals I used on there. So really happy with that overall. So you know, pretty. This is overall. This has been a pretty straightforward process. That being said, I'm gonna go ahead and snap the rest of these in really quickly, and then we're going to piece these two together. I'm gonna flash the keyboard, put it through. After I flash it, I am going to put it through the QMK configurators, the testing portion, so I can make sure that all the switches are firing. And then one thing I'm going to do differently on the key map for this, and this is something I would just suggest you're doing if you put a case on this, I am going to actually program a reset switch. That way, in the event I do need to reflash the keyboard, I won't have to take it all the way apart. It is just 5 screws, but that could be a bit of a pain. So instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to program a reset switch onto probably one of the layers. So that way I'll know, I'll have a dedicated, I will get that later, I will have a dedicated switch to push when I need to flash the keyboard. That'll put it into the DFU mode so that I can easily just go ahead and flash that. So I'm gonna shut up now, finish up putting the switches in, and then we'll get the rest of this bad boy together. But this should be a pretty straightforward, actually pretty quick video overall. You know, that's the benefit of hot swap. My next keyboard, I promise you all, I will do a nice solder one, so you'll get to see me play around with the soldering iron a little bit, see how I solder, some of the things I like to do to get prepared for soldering, how I protect myself, and how to make sure I'm safe. And yeah, because the last thing you want to do is be working with a hundreds of degrees soldering iron and burn yourself, because I can tell you from personal experience it is painful and not at all fun. So all right, shutting up now, gonna finish putting the switches in, and we'll revisit you when this is all set. Switches are all put in. Yeah, I know that's gonna, I already can tell that's gonna bug me. So I know that those aren't gonna last forever. But let's get the, I'll put that in incorrectly. Let's get the clip-ins in. These are going to be this is gonna be our stabilizer. These are the genuine cherry ones. I just want to call that out. I think I talked about this in a previous video, but the cherry ones, there's like a little kind of like sliver piece that's on the side of the Duroc ones. So if you do need to use these for just like a drop-in keyboard, high suggestion that you actually spend the extra, like I think it's like $1 to get the cherry ones. It'll save you a ton of pain and effort. Again, learn from my mistakes. All right, here we are. Stab installed. Now let's get the PCB aligned. And I usually, as you can see in my previous videos, I like to start working from the corners. So I will line up a corner. Actually, I think I have a pin that's a little, it's not straight. And there we go. And then I just start slowly but surely working it in. I like to try and have like a little line of sight as I'm pushing things in, so if I see any switches that look like they, may not go in, things like that, I'll try and address those ahead of time, by either, straightening out the pin a little bit, or putting a different switch in. But so far, I don't seem to be having any issues, which is good. Smoother this is, the better. Yeah, so far so good on this side. Yeah. All right, here we are. I think we did pretty good. Make sure all the switches are seated correctly. Yeah, if they're not seated, yeah, like this one, the pin's just a little bit not straight, so I'm gonna go and straighten that out a little bit, pop that back in. And when I do that, I try and pop straight down, so I'll go on both sides, so that way I don't have to work it in. Yep, there we go. Yeah, so far so good. This is yeah, I like this one. And sometimes as you're, one thing to keep in mind, like I said, before I piece everything together, I like to run it through the configurator really quick, test out all the keys, before I test out all the switches before I put the keycaps on, make sure that everything's firing, and if it's not, I can pop the switch off and troubleshoot whatever issue. And nine times out of 10 with a hot swappable keyboard, the biggest issue is a bent pin on the switch. Pop it out, straighten the pin out, pop the switch back in, or replace it if you're not comfortable with that. So I'm gonna pop these back in the bag. I'm gonna go right over to the configurator, plug this in. Like I said, I'm gonna flash it now, so I have access to this. I'm not gonna have access to this switch. This physical switch, like I said, I already programmed a reset switch into the keyboard. I did that purposely for the software. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Get that. Yeah, go ahead and get that. Run through the test, make sure everything's all good, and then we'll pop back over here and we'll keep going. All right, I am back. Yeah, you might notice I'm wearing a different outfit than the last you saw me. I had some issues with this keyboard, so I just wanted to call those out rather than ignoring them and trying to pretend like they didn't happen, and maybe to help some other folks get around it. So one thing I wanted to call out is that this board does not currently have a QMK layout. So the board that is listed in there is actually version 1 of the board if you look in the QMK repo. So there is only one way to flash this board. It does come, well, take that back. There are more than one ways, but the easiest way is to use the VIA layout. So if you go to, and I'll put this in the description, and I'll also call this out in some other ways, but if you go to the KP Republic site and you go to the downloads folder, there is the Google Drive downloads folder, and I'll put a link to that below in the description below as well. There is a hex file that you could use to flash this keyboard to VIA, and then from there you can use the VIA configurator tool to configure your keyboard. So that's already been done behind the scenes, but I wanted to call that out because after Googling and searching a bit, I saw this has been a pretty consistent issue that people have been bringing up. So there is, right now, if you look in the QMK repo, there is not a keyboard matching the BM40 V2. There is a BM40 RGB. That is the version 1. I want to call it out. That's super important. Otherwise, you will sit here struggling like I did for quite a while trying to figure out why this wasn't working and why keys were firing in the wrong place. That all being said, keyboard's working just fine now. We got some RGB colors, ran through the tester. All the keys are firing exactly the way that I expected them to, which is really great. Happy to see that. Everything is firing, just like I would want it to. So I am really happy for that overall. But yeah, just want to call out that little piece right there, that if you have the wrong key map on here, some of the keys will fire, some of them will not, and it won't look very good for you. So just want to call that out. yeah, so we're good now. What I'm gonna do is we're gonna pop back over to the other table. We're gonna get keycaps on, keycaps case, and put the feet on, and we'll be all set. All right, and here we are back over here. Yeah, like I said, just I was had a little issue um, with the actual. Had a little issue with actually getting on, getting the keyboard software working. That's why I like to test before I install the keycaps, because that would have been a huge pain if it was like a switch issue or anything like that. So it was really nice to be able to, troubleshoot the issue, figure out what it is before it got that far. Unfortunately, it was, just a programming issue, which it often can be. So that was really nice. So I am just gonna jam the feet onto the board, or onto the case, excuse me, which is gonna take no time at all. It'll give it a nice little footing, and then I can install the PCB into the case, and then I'll put the keycaps on, and then we are all done, and we have built another. We're getting there, guys. We've done 3 keyboards together now, and it's all been just really exciting to take this all on. So thanks for hanging in there with me. I am going to get these in here really quick. These are not magnetic, so I am going to turn it onto the side, just so I don't do exactly what I just did, which was drop a screw right into the keyboard. So let's get that out. The only downside that I have found with the screws that come with the keyboard, they're not magnetic. And they are very, very tiny, so it is super easy to lose one inside the keyboard. But now that I got that one in there, it should be pretty easy to get the other ones in, because now I don't have to hold the PCB as well. But yeah, this is our 3rd keyboard together, and we have done some really awesome work. Actually, I take that back. These are magnetic. I just am struggling. Yeah, I take that back. These are magnetic. That's great. So next keyboard I'm doing is going to be a little bit more involved. It is. I am going to rebuild. I'm going to order a second Mech Wild Mercutio. That's the first keyboard I ever built, and definitely struggled with it a little bit. The current one is, it needs some love. It needs some love, but I don't really want to desolder it, to be completely honest, for a couple reasons. One is slightly sentimental. The other one is I feel like it would just be a huge pain. Instead, I can spend $65 and I'll have myself another keyboard, and I'm able to kind of rebuild from scratch and not have to spend all the time desoldering, which can be a huge pain, and all that fun stuff. So plus there's a lot of parts on that board, because it does have an OLED on it, so there's a lot of parts on that board to make that work and make everything else work, and I just don't want to. So instead, I'm going to order another second one, and we're going to put that together. So yeah, really looking forward to that. Yeah, so I'm going to throw the keycaps onto this board. We'll plug it in, and yeah, I can already hear like that very clicky key click. I know for a fact that's going to drive me insane. So I can almost guarantee you, like beyond a shadow of a doubt, these switches will be getting replaced on here. I listened to a quick little key test before I ended up ordering them, just because I didn't think they'd be that bad, and I was 100% wrong. And I'm willing to accept that. It happens. And different keyboards and different keycaps and switches are going to sound different to different people, and there are going to be things that certain people like that others don't. Like I said, I am more of a fan of the, man, I'm really struggling getting this out. I am more of a fan of the clacky, but not clicky. These are without a doubt very, very, very clicky. So I know for a fact they'll drive me absolutely insane. Trying to, sorry about the scratching, guys. Didn't mean to do that. I know for a fact the clicking will absolutely drive me insane while I'm working with this. So yeah, I already know I'm gonna end up replacing the switches on here. I just don't know with what. Might order some completely transparent ones. Get some transparent keycaps on here, so we can really take advantage of the RGB that's under each key. Might do something like that. Haven't exactly thought it out yet, but. Since I just got this thing up and running, so we'll see how that goes once we're actually done. But yeah, let's like I said, let's finish throwing the keys on here and throwing the keycaps on here, and we'll do a little quick test, hear how clacky it is, and then we're done. All right, and here we are on BM40, even with all of our challenges, fully built. Just gonna do a quick little typing test, and we can hear how it sounds. So all in all, no, severe issues with it. Like I said, the only challenge I have is the clicking. If I compare that to here's my UT47. Remember we built this one. I like that kind of muted sound. Yeah, like that muted sound is definitely my preference and more my speed. So I'm actually what I was thinking, actually, just even while I was building this, I'm thinking about doing is actually taking this out of its case, because I do really like the case. I'm thinking about taking it out of its case, putting that onto here, and then taking the bottom plate from here and putting it onto this PCB. So just a light thought that I had. I also don't want to fight with all these screws, so that may or may not happen. But yeah, just a quick little thought. But that's it. That's the BM40 version 2. If you like what you saw, please take time to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you on the next video. Hey everyone, so I wanted to come back and actually revisit an issue that I had while I was setting up this keyboard. So yes, I am recording this after I did the initial keyboard review and build, and that was just an issue flashing it. So one of the things I did end up addressing during the video is that this the BM40 version 2 is built and currently right now is supported on VIA, and that if you want to do QMK, you're pretty much on your own for that one. I haven't yet, since completing the build, found a working QMK build for this keyboard. But one thing I did find a lot of are folks who are struggling to flash it. So I just wanted to kind of walk through that really quickly to save some people some trouble. Yeah, let's get right into it. So if you if you got the BM40 V2, it'll say it right on the PCB, and I'll actually show you what that looks like in just a second. So it shows right on the PCB, and I want to show you the correct way to do this. So if you're lucky and your keyboard came flashed, awesome. But I know that isn't the case for everyone, so I just want to walk through this really quick. If you before you even build it, you can actually plug this in and flash it. The only thing that'll be a challenge is testing out any of your keys, but you can kind of do it after the fact. But if you want to flash it just to make sure it's working, you end up needing to do something a little bit different than if you're building with just pure QMK. So you're gonna go and plug the keyboard in. There's the USB-C spot is actually right here. Let me show you the underside of the keyboard. So the USB-C is right here. You can plug the keyboard in. You're gonna need to open something called QMK Toolbox. I'll show you that in just a second. So you're gonna end up plugging the keyboard in, and after you plug it in, you might get depending on what device you plug it into, you might get a pop-up asking you to set up your keyboard, which you don't really have to worry about. But one thing that I would suggest doing is before you even make it to this point, to locate some very key files so that you can use your keyboard. The first thing I would do is head over, so back on the QMK site, if you scroll down a little bit, or excuse me, the KP Republic site, if you scroll down a little bit, there is a Google Drive link. And the only reason why I want to call this out is because this isn't very straightforward in comparison to maybe doing some other keyboard builds. So you end up navigating to this Google Drive link, which will take you here. And we're going to go to the BM series. That's the 003 BM series, because this is a BM keyboard. We're going to go to 02 via flashing. That'll take you into essentially the instructions for this specific keyboard. There is a flashing tutorial here. Like I said, the only reason I'm calling this out is because this isn't necessarily the most intuitive way I've seen to do it. Just because there is a little bit of confusion between the version 2 of the keyboard and version 1, and which one supports QMK and which one doesn't. Again, like I said earlier in the video, version 1 does support QMK. It has an actual QMK build in the QMK repository. Version 2 does not. So if you go to VIA, you go into flashing tutorial, it actually gives you some instructions, but again, even those I didn't find were super intuitive. So it's going to have you download a couple of things. So one is QMK Toolbox. You will need that. And the other one is VIA. This is the Windows executable, though. So if you are on a Mac and need VIA, you'll have to go to the VIA website and download it. It's a DMG. But once you install, the same thing with QMK, actually. This is the QMK EXE. It is not the DMG for QMK. You will need to go and get that from the QMK repository if you want that. So go ahead, get QMK, get VIA, because you're going to need to do these next steps. You'll come into this firmware folder, and you'll go into 002, version 2. So that's for the version 2 of the keyboard. Inside here will be the hex and JSON files for a bunch of these keyboards for the version 2 of the BM keyboards. The first two currently are actually for the BM40 version 2, which is actually really nice. So the most important piece you really need out of here is this hex file. This hex file contains all the information that you really need, in my personal opinion, to get this keyboard started. So if you download the hex file, and this is where we'll get into QMK Toolbox, and let me bring this up here. So you'll take the hex file, and if you have, like, let's just say downloads open, you can actually drag and drop that into the local file. You'll need your keyboard plugged in, because once you drop that in there, you plug in the keyboard. On the bottom of the keyboard, I want to flip back to this really quickly. There is a little reset button. It's almost easy to miss and not even see it's there, because it's very, very tiny. It's this little reset button right here. It's not super tactile, so you may not even feel when you press it. But I just want to call that out. You definitely want to make sure you take note of that, because once you plug the keyboard in, after you load the hex file, you're going to press that. You'll get a little yellow prompt, and I'll actually just kind of walk through it here really quickly. So you're going to plug the keyboard in. You're going to get a nice little yellow prompt. Right. Sorry, give me just one second.
right here. So that lets you know that the keyboard is in DFU mode and it's looking for the keyboard. Let me pull that hex file back up here because I actually want to, I just want to get you like mostly through the process. So once you, just 1 second here. This is probably the hardest piece out of all of this. So I'm going to take that hex file, drop it here. If once you click flash, you're going to see a bunch of text come up, and it'll let you know that it flashed the keyboard successfully, which is 99% of the battle. Once you do that, most of your hard work is over, because then you can open up VIA, and what VIA lets you do is it will, once it decides to work with me and come up, or maybe it won't. Might make a liar out of me. Once you, well, and I'll try and play around with this, but even if it won't come up, you'll get a configuration screen that'll essentially allow you to program the keyboard, which is what you're looking for, and that is really the step that you want to end up getting to, because it'll let you program the keyboard to whatever, wherever you want a certain key to exist, and then once you're done with that, you can go over to the key tester, and that'll let you test to make sure that your keys are the keys that you're pressing are firing the way that you want them to. Yeah, so that's exactly what you're looking for out of here. So the keys are firing exactly the way you want them to. Yeah, that's essentially what we're looking for inside here. So I just wanted to call that out really quickly, even though I had that one little challenge pop up. I'm going to try and play around with that a little bit, but I think you guys got the gist of it. But I wanted to call that out because that was a challenge for me, and I got stuck on that for about a day while building this keyboard, just because there is a little bit of confusion on whether this board does support QMK or not. Right now, as far as I could find, digging as far as I could, there is not a currently working QMK build for the BM40 version 2. If I'm wrong, please feel free to drop it in the comments. I'd love to take a look at it, but I just want to make it a little bit easier because I saw some pretty recent, as of like even a week or two ago, on Reddit and a couple of the random forums for this keyboard. So I just want to call this out. Questions, comments, concerns, please drop them down in the comments below. Thank you again for watching the video, but I just wanted to add this little piece on because I know this is a big challenge, not only for myself, but a number of folks. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Appreciate it. See you on the next one.